'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. Oh, Jiminy Christmas, where did you come from? The undead let the day pass, all without a care, but that would all change if Santa Claus were there.
Sweet mother of Guinevere, is that a body?
And though this quest starts in a disturbing spectacle, greetings and salutations, gamers, and welcome to the Dark Souls Christmas Special.
If we're celebrating Christmas here in Lordran, we're doing this right. And thankfully, I've got this list of all the things that'll make us both holly and jolly. As for where I got this list, maybe I got it off the Christmas care package, maybe I've been saving this in case I was miraculously let out of that cell. Why was I in there in the first place? Don't ask, but just know it's about to get real frosty in here. In any case, we've got a 6-step plan and we're seeing it through. Step 1, become Santa Claus. Doesn't sound easy, but trust me, we'll only be about halfway done with the list by the time we get there. New duds and new weapon, here we come.
Bad reindeer, bad reindeer, bad reindeer!
Right, first of all, we need a big old red suit. Thankfully, there's one of those to find in Blighttown. The mask may not match very much physically, but Dark Souls 1 doesn't let me have a beard, so we'll just use this to hide our shame. Also, that pointy hat is mighty jolly. Now that we've got our clothes, we need Santa's sack, but since that's a ways away, we're gonna need to improvise and find ourselves a nice festive weapon to get ourselves there. Thankfully, I've got an idea on where to get one. But unthankfully, it's locked behind the Capper Demon and his merry-making mutts. At least we can take care of him and everything else by crossing off task number 2, delivering coal. It's handheld, it's throwable, and it's great for inflicting fire damage. And if you're beginning to think that this coal delivery looks a lot like firebombing, then you may have figured out exactly why I was locked in the bottom of an asylum in the first place. After a few mystical encounters with the Ghost of Christmas Regret, we can finally get our key and make our way down to our favorite Christmas gift shop located in the sewers. Then get our hands on the Christmas Greatsword. Just in time too. It's time to tackle our third task to celebrating Christmas. Jingle bells. I mean, the version you're used to probably has a lot less gargoyles, poison, and flaming witches of the great chaos. But at the end of the day, the real Christmas were the atrocities we committed along the way. One Zen's fortress later, and we can make our way into the city of Anor Londo. And we sure wouldn't be Santa Claus if we weren't breaking and entering through the most convoluted methods possible. Although, even more frightening than our methods is the fact that they put guards up here, meaning they were expecting us to come this way. Weird. Either way, some Santa magic later, and we make our way down the fireplace and over to a chest where we can finally locate our trusty Santa's sack. Requires a bit of strength, but even just with 28 strength, we can wield it with 2 hands. Unfortunately, if we're going to cross off the rest of our list, we're going to want to make sure we're in twinkling top form, so it's time to cross some drakes off the naughty list. Cool thing about farming drakes with the Dragon's Tooth, its attacks stun the drakes in one hit. So stun locking them is fairly effective, and once you do enough damage you can do the plunging attack trick because of its high damage. Takes quite a few upgrades before you can do that last bit, but the farming process isn't too bad. Now that we've achieved our true Nicholasmus form, I think it's high time we complete the rest of our list and call it a Merry Christmas. Starting with step number 4, defeat Jack Skellington? You know, weird, but I think I get it. The catacombs can be as easily navigated as an undead chimney, and once we've claimed the Mask of Father Christmas, we can make our way into the Tomb of the Giants. I swear this place would look much better with Christmas lights. Either way, Skeleton Jack himself isn't too bad, and our damage is quite nice. The trickier part is the fact that we have no poise or significant armor, and with our Santa Slammer being slow and clunky, it's tricky to get a good time to attack in. Thankfully, Jack's attacks also temporarily dismantle his skeletons, which is a great help. It takes a bit more finagling than usual, but the Pumpkin King Skeleton Jack goes down. And if you found that last task weird, then don't you worry, this next one's a real doozy. This time we're off to fight Krampus, father of the Abysmus. It's like Christmas Satan, except he's part deer. Gonna need to make our way into the Christmas of Christmas Past in order to pull that off, which means we need to visit Seath's archives first. No, none of that. Shame on you. Okay, Christmas pendant in hand, time to go boss some Dear Man's humbugs. Medium rolling with no poise and little defense isn't exactly recommended against the Sanctuary Guardian or Grinchy Artorias, but at least we do some real merry amounts of damage. Some may call it blunt force trauma, but here we like to call it concussive Christmas. Eventually we make our way down to Krampus, and this fight was surprisingly smooth. Medium rolling isn't too much of a factor here since Krampus has fairly wide openings, and the damage is also fairly nice. It's an oddly weird day when you can say that the Sanctuary Guardian was a bigger problem than our not-so-festive friend. And with that, Christmas in Lordran is almost completely celebrated. Only one thing left to do, and for that, oh, we're gonna need to get to the Painted World. We've got plans for a certain someone. Doll in hand, time to relive 1996. Now that we're in the Painted World, it's just a drop and a skip away, and we're well on our way to Priscilla. And once we're there, we wish her a Merry Christmas. Yep, step number 6, wish Priscilla a Merry Christmas. I even brought you that doll you asked for. Enjoy the lights, Priscilla, happy holidays, and a Merry Christmas to you. Now, if you'll excuse me, Santa's got places to be.
Oh, I expected that to go a bit different.
Where am I and what happened to my clothes? Right, well, guess who's got a whole new list of Christmas activities to achieve, and once again, it starts with becoming Santa. Again. Well, that's not gonna be easy, considering I can't think of any jolly weapons on our way to Santa's sack, and we don't have a sealer set this time around to pick up early. Guess we're gonna have to put in some work to Santify ourselves. Lots of the typical early game Dark Souls 2 running around, except for our weapon of choice this time, we're going to be taking on some power-stanced falchions. Had to be a bit more creative this time, so decided to inspire the weapons based off of the Santa Claus from Rise of the Guardians. It might be an Easter movie, but it's genuinely a masterpiece. Go watch it if you haven't. In the meantime, it's time to deliver some coal to the Naughty Giant. In case you're wondering, he ended up on the naughty list because he fought in some nasty war some time ago. Yeah, sure, maybe he was just defending his land, but history is written by the winners, and last time I checked, it's not called Forest of the Active Giants. Did you know that St. Nicholas was the saint of archery? I mean, ballistas probably more closely resemble a siege weapon, but if somebody showed up to the range with a ballista, would you tell them no? A small journey through Christmas in Texas later, and we find ourselves a nice Santa's outfit. Unfortunately, this one is so full of the Christmas spirit that it violently assaulted us on sight. Multiple times! But hey, at least this game's willing to let us have a jolly white beard. And might I say, we make a fine looking Santa. As long as your version of Santa looks like a walking felony, that is. Now that we're all dressed up, we can make our way to our weapon. And along the way, we can cross off one of our Christmas activities, defeating the Nutcrackers. Admittedly, the moveset on these falchions aren't super fantastic, and I'm about as rusty at this game as my armor looks. But eventually, we can ditch the power stance and just take them down via some good old-fashioned two-handed action. Goes a bit smoother that way, too. I don't know why Christmas this year involves so many gargoyles, but if I have to fight another one to get my Kris Kringle on, I think I'm going to start eating the NyQuil chicken. Once we finally claimed our weapon again, we get to immediately be thankful that we don't need to worry about drakes again. This time, we'll be going after the Titanite that twinkles, so that means we're going to head to the Sunken City to stock up, as soon as we're done fighting the appetizer. You know, from that one SpongeBob episode. It takes a bit of running around, but once we've got everything we need, the present pancaker is all cranked up and ready to go. First thing to do with it, defeating the Rat King. You know, the villain of the Nutcracker. I forgot about this part of the script. Damn it. Okay, fourth wall break. I'm just going to read exactly what I wrote in my script notes here. First thing to do with it, defeating the Rat King. You know, the villain of the Nutcracker. Kyle, please insert a joke here. It's 5 a.m. and I've been staring at the word Nutcracker for 12 minutes, and the best I've had the entire time is stop the nut violence. I think I'm going insane. Stop the nut violence. Next up on the list, what's a Santa Claus Christmas without our sleigh? Okay, but actually just think about this boss fight for a second. I just now realized that the necromancers are sitting here reanimating the skeletons every time the chariot runs them over. And I have to wonder how long this was going on before we got here. Anyways, Christmas. It needs saving. From what? From thieves, of course. Those blasted grave robbers are apparently trying to steal Christmas. And it's our job, as extreme violence Santa Claus, to put a stop to it. God, this is so stupid. Oh, I'm not gonna make it through this script. Admittedly, that's a lot easier said than done, especially when we've got a fellow concussive Christmas enjoyer on the enemy team. That being said, our damage is massive, especially when we can get a backstab off. Even getting down to the thieves takes a few tries, let alone stopping them, but eventually, we can finally save Christmas once and for all. Forever. That's right, Christmas has been properly celebrated, so we can finally lay down and get ourselves some well-deserved rest.
You've gotta be kidding me. Who's waking me up again? Why is there another list in here with me? And who keeps taking my clothes? Alrighty, step number 1. Become Santa the Third. Thankfully, we don't have to go very far in order to grab ourselves a new nice red pointy hat. Not so thankfully, one of the Christmas thieves survived and stole our weapon, and the candy cane striped dipshit took it all the way to the Archdragon Peak. So looks like we're in for a long ride. Until we can get ourselves a wintry weapon, our main method of damage will once again be delivering coal. Something that has gotten less and less effective as the series has gone on, and since we can only carry so many in this game, we'll have to use our cleric weapons just a tad. After a brief encounter with the Winter Wonder Knight, we can make our way through the Undead Settlement to find yet another knight from the Winter Wonderlands. We'd like to get this one to drop itself down the elevator so we can claim his sword, but unfortunately the exact opposite problem happened. Even more concerning is when I called the elevator back down and he was nowhere to be found. Reloading the game did somehow give us the sword, so I guess... Christmas miracle? This Holly Jolly Yuletide Slicer is going to be our weapon all the way until Archdragon Peak, so we'll be taking the time to make sure it's stocked full of upgrades. After taking down the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, we can make our way to the cathedral where we can find... another Santa? Well, I guess maybe there could be two? Well, with his help, we can visit the North Pole, which has been taken over by plenty of dastardly creatures, and finally find a new set of Santa's clothes. We get the best part of both Christmas and Dark Souls 3 in this outfit. All of the holiday cheer on our pointy red hat, and we still look like we have at least 3 DUIs. The armor and damage are already fairly nice, and we can make our way through the Christmas carolers and the Dance of the Extreme Violence Fairy without much incident. Lothric Castle is also packed full of twinkly upgrades for our Christmas cutter, and back at the North Pole we can finish off our upgrades to the blade with the Titanite slab. Next we need to make it to the Wintry Wonderlands, but first we have to get through the part of Christmas which involves fighting through hordes of the undead. Wait a second, that's not a Christmas story, that belongs to a different holiday. I thought I smelled spooky around here. Get back into your prison, you Halloween hack! Back to your nightmare before Christmas! And back to the Winter Wonderlands once again. As much as I'd love to stay here, we really just needed to get here so we could make our way to the Christmas dungeon. So after we dispose of Alva through sheer Christmas cheer, we'll set up our bonfire and depart to get our Path of Dragon lessons. And thankfully, on the way we'll get to cross off the next part of our list. I hear there's a lovely child around here named Ocelot who wants to celebrate Christmas and... Oceros?
Where's Ocelot?
Where's the child, Oceros?
Now that we know the path of the dragon, we can make our way to Archdragon Peak. First thing we need to do is take care of this dragon, which is as simple as... I don't want to talk about it. The rest of Archdragon Peak isn't so bad to get through, and before you know it, we make our way back to the dirty thief who not only tried to steal Christmas, but our Christmas spirit as well. He gets to find out real fast what happens to Christmas thieves. Now that we've located our weapon for the final time, we can finally get back into true Santa form. Or not, I guess. In order to tolerate the sheer weight of Santa's sack... God damn it. In order to tolerate the sheer weight of Santa's sack, we're going to need Havel's ring. And as luck would have it, one of the steps of getting it involves the next step on our list. Time to cut down the Christmas tree, which we're totally overleveled for at this point. We can eventually make just enough room for our snowy smasher, and it's about time we complete our final Christmas list. Saving the North Pole from Jackie Frost. This is a tricky fight, even with our high damage. The speed of our weapon is still quite slow, which makes this no easy feat. On the other hand, we don't necessarily have to take this fight on by ourselves. After all, we were brought here by a second Santa. And no matter how strong her white ice and black fire is, 2 Santas is just too much. And just like that, we defeat Jackie Frost and save the North Pole. Our final Christmas list is complete. But something doesn't quite feel right. We've celebrated Christmas across Lordran, Drangleic, and Lothric, but something doesn't seem right. Even now, can we truly say we've completed our first task each time? Becoming Santa Claus. Have we really done it? After all, there is only one Saint Nick. Only one Father Christmas. Which means for us to truly have a Merry Christmas, there's one more thing we have to do. This Christmas ain't big enough for the 2 of us, partner. There can only be one Santa Claus. And there in that moment, the meaning of Christmas was found. All the fun Santa had during his Dark Souls runaround. And to end this special, we must end this right. Merry Christmas to all, and to all, a good night.